Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, 141 hours and counting. Victoria waits for water answers. Plus, mattresses and couches pile up in a Victoria neighborhood, the health hazard residents are facing. And what looks like a vegetable crate hides a dangerous secret. The DEA's latest discovery at the border.
Well, we are tracking some tropical activity, folks. We've got a depression forming right about here. It looks like it's going to be heavy rain to the Gulf Coast states, but I think it's going to miss us. We'll be taking a look at that and the rest of your week weather coming up in a moment.
One simple mistake nearly kills a young cowgirl. The accident that broke over 20 bones in her face. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shauna Curry. 141 hours into the boil water notice, City of Victoria officials are waiting on bacteria test results to determine if the notice can be lifted. It all started July 7th when low chlorine levels were found near John Stockbauer and Meori Lane. The next day, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality began investigating. A citywide boil water notice went out on July 9th. Crews worked through the night on July 10th to flush the system and raise chlorine levels. From July 11th through the 13th, officials held daily press conferences offering updates and announcing a $10 credit for utility accounts. Yesterday, chlorine levels were back where they needed to be, but the notice stays in place until bacteria test results confirm the water is safe to drink. So far, no other problems have been found. City officials are confident the boil notice will be lifted by tomorrow at the latest, but we have not yet received word. Well, here is your viewer poll. While we don't know the reason for the low chlorine levels, who do you hold responsible for the water boil issue in Victoria? Is it the Director of Water Services? Is it the mayor, the city manager? Is it just environmental factors, or there's no one to blame? Accidents happen. Right now, 61% of voters say the Director of Public Works or the Water Services. But we want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And we'll have another look at those numbers coming up on 25 News Now at 6. A Victoria neighborhood is dealing with illegal dumping. A 25 News Now viewer sent us photos of a huge pile of mattresses, couches, and other household items spilling out of dumpsters near the Victoria Housing Authority apartments around Depot, Cameron, and 2nd Streets. Not only is it an eyesore, it's also a health hazard. City officials say if you spot illegal dumping, report it through the Victoria TX 311 app. You can include photos and the report will be sent straight to the right department. They did not say whether they have gotten reports from this location, but depending on how much is dumped, charges can range from a Class C misdemeanor to a state jail felony. Texas flood survivors clean up damaged homes while officials search for 101 people still missing. The catastrophic flooding killed at least 132 people earlier this month. In Kerrville, residents like Greg Adkins wade through damaged homes, but focus on the volunteers who have arrived to help. Crews from Texarkana and North Texas bring tools, generators, and meals to help with recovery efforts. Officials plan to drain reservoirs as search operations resume along the Guadalupe River.
It doesn't really matter how I feel. You and I both know, and every American knows, that our forefathers went through many more natural disasters and man-made disasters than this. And they didn't have bobcats. They didn't have pickup trucks. They didn't have people coming by giving you meals throughout the day and water, and they didn't have volunteers that came by the dozens to help with power tools and bringing generators. And so, you know, who am I to complain at this point in time? It's tough, but it's so much better than it could be.
Volunteers arrive with restoration equipment and supplies to help residents clear debris and rebuild homes. The number of missing people has dropped significantly from more than 160 previously reported in Kerr County alone. Search efforts were temporarily halted on Monday due to additional heavy rain, but have since resumed. Well, now let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez for a first look at the forecast. And Mac, we're staying pretty dry here in the Crossroads, but I know you're keeping an eye on the tropics.
You bet. Well, amazing how, we've had fairly nice weather and it's still raining back to the west. You can see abundant sunshine today, temperatures warming up. But over here in the places where they don't need any more rain, it rained again, probably 1 to 2 inches right about there. But I'm going to talk about lake levels coming up in a moment. A little bit later on, we'll also be talking about a tropical system that's developing out in the Gulf. Will it make it as a storm? I think maybe. We'll be talking more about it, taking a close look at it, and predicting where it's going coming up a little bit later on. Shauna, back to you.
The DEA says it is seeing more methamphetamine being seized across the country, and it's raising a red flag. The agency's top official spoke exclusively with ABC News, sharing video of the latest tricks Mexican cartels are using to sneak drugs into the U.S. Here's ABC's Christiane Cordero.
It looks like a box of cucumbers, one of hundreds on a produce truck the DEA says crossed over the border into the U.S. In this footage the DEA provided to ABC News, the agency unpacks how creative the cartels have become by lining the cardboard boxes with bags of meth. The agency says they made this discovery the week of July 4th.
They just look like a normal vegetable crate, and they even changed the packaging and the shape of the kilos to fit underneath the cardboard where it was virtually impossible to detect.
Acting DEA Administrator Robert Murphy spoke exclusively with ABC's Pierre Thomas, saying cartels are trying to surge Americans' addiction to meth in an effort to boost profits.
So far this year, we've seized approximately 70,000 pounds of meth. Now, put that in context, 2024, that's the entire amount that we seized for DEA, 70,000 pounds. And that was a record year for DEA. At this pace, at a minimum, we're going to double what we seized last year.
Some meth intercepted from hollowed out watermelons, others mixed with celery and onions. Officials say they've seen meth turned into pill form as well, which could make it easier for dealers to trick unsuspecting customers into becoming addicted to the highly potent substance. Taking meth pills may also be easier than smoking or injecting it.
A pill form of methamphetamine might not kill you instantly, but it can get you so addicted to meth that it can destroy your life.
Meth is considered highly addictive, often causing things like increased heart rate and blood pressure. Overdosing on meth may result in death from stroke or heart attack. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Governor Greg Abbott has acknowledged DOJ concerns that some districts were drawn along strict racial lines. Critics say it's a political ploy. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com. A 9-year-old rodeo barrel racer is recovering from a terrifying accident that nearly took her life. Kinlan Tyler has been riding horses since she could walk, and weeks after buying her very own, she suffered a horrific accident. The injuries were devastating. But as Trayson Bragg shows us, this tough little cowgirl is not giving up on her dreams.
Horses mean absolutely everything to Kinlan Tyler.
I love riding horses.
She began riding horses at 2, then barrel racing them at 4, and now at 9 she's racked up a very impressive resume of wins.
So what do you win when you do these barrel races?
So whenever I do most of them, that time I'll either win like money, and then at the end I'll either win like a saddle or a buckle.
Kinlan tells me about a month ago she used all the money she saved up over the years to buy this guy, Big Gray. But a week later, a simple mistake almost cost her her life.
I was holding him and she went up behind him and she patted him on the butt, got right up behind him and spooked him and he kicked her.
That day, seeing that happen, how did you handle it? What was that like for you, Mom?
I thought she was dead. When I got to her, it happened right in front of me and she was laying on the ground and I started screaming and I said, Kinlan, say something.
Thankfully, moments later, Kinlan was able to speak, but the injuries were substantial.
She had over 20 broken bones in her face. Her nose was completely shattered. Her sinus tract was completely just curved. Her cheek was 5 millimeters pushed out of place and rotated.
She already had multiple surgeries, and doctors say there are more on the way. But this tough cowgirl isn't cowering. Instead, she's using this moment to help keep others safe.
Never go behind a horse. Be arm's length away from the horse. And if you just be careful not to spook them.
And in case you're wondering,
I still have to recover for a few more weeks, but I'll definitely, when it's the day that I can get back on, I definitely will be riding my horses.
She's a tough little girl. Well, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. Medical debt stays on credit reports. Find out why a federal judge blocked a Biden-era rule. Plus, when summer heats up, your appetite may cool down. Find out how to eat smarter.
Behind closed doors, too many voices go unheard. In Breaking the Silence, domestic violence in the Crossroads.
People who are going through this know that they are not alone and that they can get the help they need and the help that they deserve, that they don't need to be scared. There is people that care about them.
Amaya Norman brings their stories to light and shows how our community is stepping up to help. A 25 News Now Extra you can't afford to miss.
A new report from the World Health Organization and UNICEF shows about 14.3 million children around the world have never received a single vaccine. Another 6 million have only gotten some of their recommended shots, leaving them partially protected from preventable diseases. Here in the U.S., a measles outbreak in West Texas is still spreading, partly due to low vaccination rates in that area. As of today, state health officials have confirmed 762 cases since late January, more than 500 of those in children 17 and under. Unpaid medical bills will stay on Americans' credit reports for now. A federal judge in Texas struck down a Biden-era rule that would have wiped medical debt from credit reports. The judge says the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau overstepped its authority under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. That rule would have removed nearly $50 billion in medical debt for about 15 million people, potentially boosting credit scores by an average of 20 points. The CFPB argues that medical debt is not a good way to measure someone's ability to repay other loans. Well, if the heat outside is making your insides revolt against food, you're not alone. Experts say weather has a big impact on our appetites. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither finds out why and what you should eat during a heat wave.
As temperatures keep going higher, your appetite may be getting smaller, and researchers say there's a reason for this. Science.
It actually has to do with the thermic effect of food. So we're not as hungry in the heat because our bodies don't want to get overheated.
Registered dietitian Julia Zumpano with Cleveland Clinic says digesting food and stockpiling its nutrients uses energy, which generates heat. If your body is already hot, it may not want any more heat.
Generally, naturally, our appetites just drop in the summer and in the hotter months.
Even if you're not as hungry, Zumpano says it's still important to have a balanced diet. She says to choose the most nutrient-dense foods possible, like fresh fruits and veggies, and make sure you're getting enough protein. You might opt for ones that aren't as heavy.
Proteins can come from meats or fish, but it can also come from things like eggs and beans and dairy sources like cottage cheese and Greek yogurt.
And finally, Zumpano says digestion can slow down when you're dehydrated, so make sure to drink plenty of water.
Even focusing on hydrating foods can be very helpful, like watermelon and lettuce and celery and cucumbers, cherries and citrus fruits and strawberries. So all of those foods can be very hydrating, in addition to, of course, increasing your fluid intake.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Zumpano says if your appetite does decrease during the summer, lean into that. She says it can help you be healthier, especially if you put on some pounds in the winter, a season which she says tends to have the opposite effect on appetites.
What about hot dogs? I wanted to know. Probably not. Too many. Well, one, just for fun, just for good measure. Anyway, folks, we're looking at 91 degrees right about now. Feels like 100. Yes, it's hot and humid, but at least it's a little on the quiet side. We're looking probably at a high of about 93, which is 94 is our average temperature this time of year. We've been as warm as 103. We'll be taking a look at the West Texas rain and the tropical activity, all that coming up in a moment. Well, for us, we've got actually a few days of dry weather, which is good. I mean, the rain was spectacular, don't get me wrong, but now we need a few dry days for all that to sort of soak into the ground and everything get a little bit crustier, so that a lot of farmers are trying to get out in the field, but it's just kind of muddy out there. So we do have dry weather in the short term. But while we're doing well on the other side of Bexar County, you can see how they had another 2 to 3 inches of rain again today in places where you just don't need any more. I mean, the interesting thing is it just keeps falling right here. The little system that's sort of circulating right about there, that looks like it's finally leaving, and we'll hope that in the next few days they do get some drying weather coming in. Now, you can see right about here, there's Bexar County, San Antonio, and they are still under a flash flood watch for all of those areas that have been touched by the floods and the extremely heavy rain. So we are on the good side of things, no major problems for us, and it'll get a little bit warmer for the next couple of days, but hey, it could be a whole lot worse. We'll take a look at the big picture, and you can see this is the rainfall in the last 12 hours. You can see the 1 to 2, 3 inches right about there, right in the places where, the Frio River, and of course, a lot of this water has fallen in an absolutely wonderful place. The only problem, people have been having to suffer with this, but the rainfall is falling over lots of rivers and streams that are very valuable to us. Let me give you an idea of what's happened. These are the Texas lake levels changes in the last month. Lake Buchanan, which is north of Austin up toward Mason, is now at 97%, up from 67% a month ago, okay? Canyon Lake, obviously there in New Braunfels, it's up to 64% from 46% a month ago. And Amistad Lake, which is Del Rio, has also come up, but not as dramatically because the water hasn't really got to that lake just yet, but it will be rising well above this 33. And Lake Travis, which is just west downtown Austin, is up to 82%, up from 44%. So the changes have been dramatic. The lakes are, going to be filling, and that's the good news. Problem is, you know what else has been going on. So we do have some tropical activity. This is Invest 93, has the potential to develop into a tropical system. The low is now over Florida, so it's not likely strengthening right now. Now you can say, what is all this mess over here? Every one of these lines is a different computer model, and it predicts the path of where it's going to go. So we have, many choices. Thing is, what we're looking for is convergence or agreement that they're all moving in the same direction. And you can see how we expect it to develop a little bit, but not much because it's so close to land. And then somewhere here in New Orleans, that's when the big turn is supposed to occur. If that stays on track, then Houston won't get much, although they get something in East Texas, but we don't think it's going to affect our weather just yet. But in this time of year, you just got to watch it. All right, Saharan dust is something that will be over us for the next day or so. And of course, that's one of the reasons why we're getting dry and sunny and temperatures are going to be warming up. Tomorrow, we're looking at a good 93 pretty much everywhere you go, 94 in Port Lavaca, and then in Cuero, you're going to get up to about 95 as well. And then as you can see on the 7-day, yeah, that temperature is going to be climbing up to the upper 90s. By the time we get to Sunday, we'll be looking at 97. But at least it's dry for a couple of days. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And we'll toss it back to Shauna.
Still to come, how the latest inflation data could affect your wallet and future interest rates. Don't go away. Stocks close mixed today. The Dow down 436 points, the S&P 500 down 25 points, and the Nasdaq up 37 points. Oil is down 32 cents to $66.68 per barrel. New today, U.S. inflation rebounded in June to the highest level in 4 months. Today's data was in line with what economists were expecting. Reporter Michael Yoshida has a breakdown of what this rise means for the economy and your wallet.
Consumer prices heating up again in June, rising 0.3% last month, pushing the annual inflation rate higher to 2.7%. That's according to new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
The best you can say about today is there was no bad news.
Tuesday's data was expected by most economists who have been anticipating the price effects of President Donald Trump's on-again, off-again tariff policies to begin showing some real-world effects.
The first serious set of tariffs went into effect in April, but they didn't affect goods that were already on a boat. So it takes a boat about a month to get from Europe or China to the US. It then might take another month to get through customs. That takes us through to June.
Reflected in the data, price hikes in a number of categories with goods from China, which are already exposed to higher tariffs, including computers and electronics, textiles, appliances, and toys. The cost of gas and food also on the rise, but due to their volatility aren't predictors of the larger economic picture. Still, Tuesday's report comes as the Federal Reserve faces increasing pressure from the White House to lower interest rates, but Wolfers says an increase in prices due to tariffs would make the move unlikely.
When the Fed gets worried that the cost of living is rising, it tends to raise interest rates. So if what you wanted was lower interest rates, you would try and keep pressure off the Fed.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida reporting.
Apple has struck a $500 million deal that's likely to make President Trump happy. The company is teaming up with Texas-based MP Materials to buy rare earth magnets and eventually reuse recycled materials in Apple products. It's all part of Apple's big push to expand U.S. production, something Trump has long called for. Other tech giants like Texas Instruments and NVIDIA are also jumping on board. Speaking of, NVIDIA shares jumped in early trading today after the company resumed selling its H20 chips to China, despite past restrictions tied to national security concerns. The sales reportedly started after NVIDIA's CEO met with President Trump, though the Commerce Department has not confirmed any official approval. Rival chipmaker AMD also got a boost after announcing it is being cleared to sell certain products to China. And China's GDP saw better than expected growth for the second quarter. The 5.2% expansion comes in the face of an ongoing trade war with the U.S., where tariffs reached 145% on Chinese goods at one point. China's economy is heavily reliant on exports, meaning even a double-digit levy would cause issues. Shipments of Chinese smartphones dropped by 4% in Q2. Domestically, China faces several structural challenges. Youth unemployment remains high, while the country faces a property crisis. One California family throws the ultimate birthday party every July 7th. The sweet reason why is next.
Deadly flooding in the Northeast. Cars swept away. Subways underwater. Plus, the new inflation report. President Trump's tariffs. How much are they costing American families? World News Tonight with David Muir is the most watched newscast in America.
7 is a lucky number for many people, but for one California woman, it's especially lucky. Nazay Drake recently gave birth to her 4th child, and for the 4th time, the baby was born on 7/7, July 7th. 4 children all share the same birthday, July 7th, different years, of course.
Oh, really?
Drake said none of her labors were induced. The odds of 4 children sharing the same birthday without medical intervention are estimated to be in the millions.
I think it saves on paper plates, you know. Have one big party
One big
for
party.
everybody, then
Yeah.
having one this month, one next month.
Just put 7 on it all the time. You don't have to put their age.
That's right.
so.
7/7. How about
Yeah.
that?
What's your lucky number?
None. I have no lucky number. Wish I did.
No
but-
rain chance? None?
Yeah, we're in good shape because we're not going to get any additional rain this week. We're going to get hot and it's going to get up into the upper 90s, so you'll be feeling it. But could be worse, folks. You know, consider what's going on in other parts of the state right about now. Of course, we'll be watching the tropics over the next few days to see if that thing develops. And you know the name of the next potential storm. It's Dexter.
Dexter.
To see if it evolves in the next few days.
All right, we'll see you back at 6.